We all have the exact same amount of it. The richest king and the poorest beggar receive the same daily allowance. 24 hours, 1,440 minutes. It is the only currency in the world that you can never earn back once it is spent. You can lose a fortune and rebuild it from scratch. You can lose a home and build another. But a wasted hour, it is gone forever, swallowed by the relentless march of history. Welcome back to Wisdom Injected. Today, we are going to explore a story about the ultimate currency, a story about the hidden cost of ambition and the price we pay when we forget what truly matters. Once, in a valley framed by ancient mountains, lived a farmer named Alden. Alden was not an ordinary man. He was possessed by a singular, consuming drive to be the most successful landowner the valley had ever seen. When his neighbors stopped working as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alden lit lanterns and continued to plow. When the winter frost kept others indoors by the fire, Alden was out repairing fences and calculating his spring yields. His philosophy was simple. Hard work now equals peace later. But later was a horizon that constantly retreated the closer he got to it. His wife, Clara, and his young son, Leo, rarely saw him. Their dinners were eaten to the sound of Alden's distant tractor rumbling in the dark. Clara would often stand on the porch, holding a cooling cup of tea, watching the tiny beacon of his lantern moving across the distant hills. She admired his dedication, but her heart ached for his presence. Years bled into decades. Alden's fields multiplied. His barns overflowed with grain, and his bank account swelled. He had achieved everything he set out to do. He was the wealthiest man in the region. Yet, as he sat in his grand study one evening, looking at his ledgers, a profound emptiness settled over him. His joints ached with a deep, permanent chill. His hair had turned to silver. He realized with a sudden, suffocating panic that he could not remember the last time he sat and simply talked with Clara. He could not recall the sound of Leo's laughter, because Leo was no longer a child. He was a grown man who had moved to the city, a stranger to the father who was never there. That night, a storm raged outside, shaking the massive timbers of Alden's farmhouse. Amidst the thunder, a knock echoed at the heavy oak door. Alden opened it to find a traveler wrapped in a heavy cloak. The man did not ask for shelter. Instead, he stepped into the light of the hallway, reached into his cloak, and produced an hourglass. The sand inside did not fall downward. It drifted upward, glowing with a soft, ethereal golden light. "I am a merchant of rare commodities," the traveler said, his voice smooth and quiet, yet cutting through the noise of the storm. "I travel the world looking for men like you, Alden. Men who have traded their most precious asset for gold." Alon frowned. "I have everything I need. I am a wealthy man." "You are a poor man in rich clothes," the merchant replied. "You have barns full of grain, but your life is entirely empty. You traded the laughter of your son, the warmth of your wife, and the peace of your own soul for dirt and coins. Alon wanted to argue, but the words caught in his throat. The merchant had voiced the exact terror that had been gripping his heart all evening. "What is that?" Alon asked, pointing to the glowing glass. "This?" the merchant whispered. "Is time. The very time you spent out in the cold while your family sat by the fire. The time you spent counting coins while your son grew up without you. I can sell it back to you, but the price is steep." "Name it," Alden said, desperation suddenly flooding his veins. "I will pay anything. Half my land, all my gold. To buy back the time you spent acquiring your wealth, you must surrender all of it. Every acre, every coin, every barn. You will return to the very day you began this obsessive pursuit. You will have your youth and your family, but you will have nothing else." Alden looked around his magnificent study. He thought of the decades of back-breaking labor, the frostbite, the sweat, the sacrifices. To give it all up meant admitting he had lived his entire life the wrong way. But then he thought of Clara's face. He thought of little Leo asking him to play, only to be turned away because there was another field to plow. "Take it," Alden whispered. His voice broke. "Take every single piece of it." The merchant smiled. He turned the hourglass completely over. The golden sand flared with a blinding light, engulfing the room, the ledgers, the barns, and the fields. Alden gasped, his eyes flying open. He was not in his grand study. He was in a small, cramped bedroom. The mattress was thin. The walls were bare wood. He looked down at his hands. They were strong, unwrinkled, and free of the deep, painful scars of decades of labor. He heard a sound from the kitchen, the sizzling of a pan, and then a sound that made his heart stop completely. "Papa!" It was little Leo, running into the room with a wooden toy horse. Behind him, standing at a small stove, was Clara. She looked youthful, radiant, and she was smiling at him. Alden fell to his knees. He didn't care about the small house. He didn't care about the tiny plot of land outside. He grabbed his son and pulled him into a desperate, weeping embrace. He had done it. He was a poor man, but he was the richest man in the world. From that day forward, Alden worked hard, but he never let the work own him. When the sun began to set, he put away his tools. He played with his son. He sat with his wife. His farm remained modest. He never became the wealthiest landowner in the valley. But his home was filled with laughter, conversation, and a deep, abiding warmth that no amount of gold could ever purchase. In the relentless pursuit of success, it is so easy to lose sight of why we are working in the first place. We hustle, we grind, we tell ourselves that we are doing it for our families, for our future. We believe the lie that we can always make up for lost time later. But later is not guaranteed to anyone. The modern world tells you to trade your time for money. It tells you to sacrifice your present for a hypothetical future. But the truth is, True wisdom lies in understanding the exchange rate. You cannot buy back your children's youth. You cannot buy back the health of your loved ones. You cannot buy back the moments of connection that slip through your fingers while you are staring at a screen or a ledger. Do not be the farmer who gains the whole world, only to realize he has lost his soul in the process. Your time is your life. Spend it where it actually matters. Thank you for watching Wisdom Injected. If this story resonated with you, please leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a reminder to pause, breathe, and value the time they have. Until next time, stay wise.